Then he's going to do the spotlight, and he's going to do a little demo for us. As soon as he's up, see, I can switch over and put him a spotlight. There he is.
Let's see. I'm gonna put you guys in the front here.
Wow, Eddie's not here. What the heck are
So is the light intrusive for y'all to look at, or is it better without the light?
Better without the light.
All right. All right, so I've got one of my Coca-Cola tool handles on. Or tool hand, rolling pin handles, and what I'm gonna do, and so it's been cut with a skew. It's smooth. It's like coming off of a plane. Yeah, so it's ready to be finished. And so we're just gonna do a little bit of Parfix 3408. I need to put some safety devices on here. And grab a piece of napkin, which I've already got laid out. And then we'll spin it up and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So I use a napkin, but I cut it in half. So I only got a half a napkin. Then I flip it. And I'll use it as such here. And we'll take the top off the bottle. That way we can get at proper drippage. I'm gonna run the lathe at about 130 RPMs. 160 is good.
Oh, that number's so critical. Come on.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's at 163 now. So
163. All right. Make
but it's
note.
all right. If you keep it, you know, my preference is to keep it below 200. So here we go. This is really sophisticated. So you take the bottle, you invert it, put your napkin at the bottom of it, and you just drizzle. And you run your napkin back and forth. Oh, gotta make sure you get that. Of course, it's oblong here, so you got to hold your napkin there a little bit longer. You want to get the back side.
This is Parfix 3408.
Parfix 3408. So now I'm going to, you know, so here's the front side of the napkin. Now I'm going to turn it around on the back side here. Ooh, well, I got to get the inside front here. My handle, can't ignore that. Now I'm just going to flip my napkin over on the back side, the opposite side. And I'm just going to run that back across. Just wipe up the excess that might be there. Also known as the ridges that those other brands that you got to sand off. And so now I'm going to wipe off my nozzle so it stays nice and clean and you don't have all that gunk on there. And then you take your cap and you put it back on and you put it back up. Now you're done.
Wait. You done?
Yeah, I'm done. And so I'm going to take my glove off. Oh, I forgot to show Brenda. Oh, doggone it. Let's see. What, finger out? No napkin. No napkin stuck.
Okay, Brenda, you got that?
Okay, so you could spray it with activator. And the activator for that is Parfix 1144, but I prefer to let it cure on its own. So I'll let it do that here for about the amount of time it takes me to take this off of my chuck here, and then we'll hook up the buffing wheel and play with it and do the final shine on it. Let me plop the chuck out. So So this is a collet chuck that I was holding it in. And what I'm unscrewing right now is the drawbar that you want to use on anything, any Jacob's chuck or collet chuck or anything like that, to securely hold it in place. That way it doesn't go flying out. Yeah, nobody's ever done that before, right?
Oh, boy, I had a hard time explaining to people what a drawbar and the beauty of it is. If it's a Morse taper and you're putting pressure that could come out where drawbar's got to be there.
Yep. So now I'm putting my Jacob's chuck in, and I'm putting in my drawbar for it.
Novice turners, that's going through the headstock and catching that quarter 20 or 3/8/16 hole in the back of it.
Yeah, so this is quarter 20 for the Jacob's chuck. For my collet chuck, it's an M10 millimeters, so 10 millimeter thread. That's all it takes to put one of them in.
And those drawbars change in SAE and metric. So go to the hardware store with the chuck. Make sure you have the right thread.
Absolutely.
You can make anything go in one time, but it might not come apart.
Okay, so for my buffing wheel, I keep everything backed up if it needs to be backed up, you know, to prevent dust from collecting. And we do work in a wood shop. So if it needs to be backed up to prevent dust, then back it up.
So I got what, about a 3/8 inch smooth shaft on it?
I've got a 1/2 inch all thread
Okay.
piece on here in between my securing the buffing pad. And I've got triple lock nuts on in between two washers. Actually, it's a 1/2 inch, so it's 11/16 hex head, 1/2 inch threaded bolt pinned between two washers, and then I've got a double locking nuts on it to prevent it from unscrewing. All right, and here's my Vonax. I keep that in a bag as well. Then I keep the Vonax in a saltine cracker wrapper. It comes in paper, but you know, obviously the paper is going to rip and tear up on you. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to spin this up. But for that, I need to go get my safety goggles. Those I keep on my grinder. And I'll show you how I keep my safety goggles. Now you could use a Crown Royal bag, or you could use, you know, if your wife is into jewelry and whatnot, so she gives me her James Avery's jewelry bags, and so I use those to keep my safety goggles in. And look, they're all nice and clean, no crap on them. You pop them on your head. Not that this stuff is going to hurt or anything, but I find it aggravating when it comes off. Gets me in the eye. So I'm going to spin this up about, I don't know, 2,500. I'm going to load up the wheel. Can you hear me all right?
Gotcha.
I'm just going to load it up. I'm going to spin it up a little bit higher. Put it at 3 grand. All right, glue is nice and dry. So you see it's kind of dull, right? Actually, it does kind of look shiny. There we go. When you're buffing it, you want to keep it at about 7 o'clock. Think of the clock face. 7 o'clock here, 7 o'clock there, 7 o'clock there. And that'll keep it from grabbing and wanting to pull you under. And you don't need to mash on it. You just need to run it over. And I'm not going to worry about this section because the tendon's going to go inside the rolling pin, so not a big deal. Now to get the flat side. And I'll do it like this, and then I'll load the wheel up one more time. And that's all it takes. This block has been, now you can kind of see where it's skewed, but it started off about this tall. And so I've used maybe 3/16 of an inch, and it's 2 years old.
Where did you buy it?
And so if there were any imperfections left from the glue, then this will take it off. Now let me wipe off the dust from my high-tech piece of equipment that I wear every day.
Oh, yeah, that's special.
Yeah, you know. Here we go.
I see the difference. Tip it again, see the head. Let's see the head. Right there. That now, comparing that to what you showed us a while ago, there is quite a difference. If novice turners wonder, well, does that really matter? Grooves and lines, no matter how fine, attract light and distract you from the actual beauty
That
of
is
the wood.
just smooth, so smooth.
Yeah.
And it's shiny. You got a layer of plastic on there embedded in that wood grain that is now waterproof, fingerprint proof, alcohol proof. Yeah.
It's for a rolling pin. Think about what it's going to make contact with.
Right? Dough proof. So yeah, it's a great thing. And oh, and by the way, you're done.
Yes. And if you got to buy a kit to get those wheels, check your local lapidary store, rock shops. And I'm not talking rock shops with the Beatles and the other people. This is a rock shop where you do lapidary work. They have those wheels. And the finer ones are good for buffing. This looks like it's a fabric wheel, not finer, but it's a flapper. It's not sewn all the way to the edge.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of sheets of this, you know.
Probably muslin.
Canvas.
It's real fluffy, like velvety on one side, and then it's kind of rough on this side, you know, on the other side, you know, but I don't know how many are in there, but there's a crap load, obviously. And like I said, and it's just pinched between two washers. You know, it's got its own leather seal that it came with, but I modified it, took off the shaft that it came with because it was too short for me. And I wanted to have my hands away from the serrated jaws here on your Jacob's chuck and be able to keep the piece further away from it. So, you know, so I put on a 6-inch bolt. Works great.
Nice idea.
You know, and so like I said, you know, I use a saltine cracker wrapper to keep the Vonax in. You know, fold it back over and I'll put it back in the Ziploc bag, and I'll put this back in the Ziploc bag because you don't want dust or wood chips accumulating on that and then scratching up your surface on the piece that you're trying to make shiny. And then, yeah, you know, and then from that, you know, I'll put my goggles, my eye protection back in the little bag, pull the line on it, and they reside over here on right in front of my grinder. There's my grinder, and they sit right there. And so before you turn it on, put it on.
Good move.
How you like that little moniker, Jeff?
That's a
Quick
good tip
question.
on the Ziploc bags. And what's the difference between the thin CA and the 3420 or 3480, whatever?
Couldn't hear you.
3460.
Do what?
What's the difference between the thin CA and the Parfix?
Okay.
You mean other brands?
Yeah, like say Starbond or whatever.
So
Okay.
I don't have the exact microns down or anything like that, but your typical thin CA is something like 100. And the Parfix is 40. So it's much thinner and it seeps in quicker and faster.
Oh, okay.
So you're getting better penetration. Not to mention the fact that it is a totally different formula than the regular CAs that are out there on the market, you know, because the regular CAs out on the market is for putting model planes together and stuff like that. This is medical grade CA. So it's totally different. It's not a
There are two bases,
It-
and this
it's
is
not
a
an
totally
acetone base. So the majority of the CAs out there are an acetone base.
correct.
This CA has no acetone in it. And of course, we know acetone breaks down the CA, kind of defeats the purpose.
Isn't it also odorless?
It is also odorless. It's bloomless. You don't get the white bloom. It doesn't make the smoke, and it does not get, as you're applying it, it doesn't get hot. You know, I
Yeah,
know, you know, if you're using other CAs out there, I haven't come across one prior to Parfix that does not get hot and or smoke, or if you put too much on, makes that white bloom.
Looks like you have more working time, longer working time with it.
Yes,
Much
absolutely.
longer.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
20 to
yeah. I was trying to demonstrate that on purpose, you know, about the working time on it.
Right.
probably 20 to
Yeah,
30 times as long you can work with it.
You would not be able to do that with Tight Bond or BSI or Mercury Flex or Star Bond or
Yeah, with regular CA, when I use it on pens, I can wipe down once and maybe back the second time before it's starting to grab the
Right.
paper. It's really
and
quick.
then so for pens, there's an even thinner type. I think it's called 30. Its formula number is 3460, and that's made specific. Actually, I think it's thicker. That way, it doesn't glue up your bushings and whatnot. But yeah,
What, Dane, do you know a price differential between the Parfix and regular CA glues?
so an 8. Yeah, so I know BSI for an 8-ounce bottle costs at the woodworker's source where I get it at here in Tucson. An 8-ounce bottle is right around $47, and I can get an 8-ounce bottle shipped to my door far cheaper through Mark Soleil.
Okay.
That was a good tip about the Ziploc bags too.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, if it's gonna be dust or particle related and you want to keep that away from it, I seal everything up in a Ziploc bag and try to keep it that way, because it only takes a minute to put it in, take it out. So
Takes you longer to clean those safety glasses than it does to put them in a bag. And every time
Right.
you rub on them, you scratching them.
yep, absolutely. You're putting a crack on it. And if
Yep.
there, you know, should there be any dust that seeps through one of them bags, all you got to do is take your air device and blow it off. You don't have to rub it off, wipe it off, clean it off.
No, friction's your enemy. So thank
So-
you, sir. Appreciate you sharing this